G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. As you may recall, I've made a couple of movies about this bloke Jamie McIntyre with his 21st Century Australia party, who says that he's going to stand for federal parliament in the seat of New England, which is where I actually live and vote. And the seat used to be firmly held by Tony Windsor, and it's now up for grabs by Barnaby Joyce for the National Party. Tony Windsor was an independent. He was a good independent. This Jamie McIntyre is, he said he was going to have a party, right? He wasn't going to be an independent, he was going to be a party. But he also says that he's a self-made multi-millionaire, and he says that he hobnobs with Richard Branson and Arnold Schwarzenegger and a whole bunch of other internationally known and acclaimed high net worth individuals in terms of their wealth, and he's been making a big noise, and he says he's started a dozen internet companies and he's got about 100 employees, and he's pretty good at big noting himself. And on one of the threads of the second movie that I posted on YouTube, I got a comment suggesting that I should search the YouTube movie title, Jamie McIntyre 21st Century Australia Education Scam. And I did that. Okay, let's see if we can get it to go.
Across the country, someone's getting rich, but it's not always the mums and dads. Jackie Quest exposes the spruikers who talk the talk, but don't always walk the walk.
Face the music. I haven't done anything. Yes, you have.
I'd like to know where my $15,000 is that I've asked you back because you've given me absolutely nothing.
You're a fraud. You've always been one, Steve. I don't want to really make any comments.
They're the fallen kings of get-rich-quick schemes. A rogues gallery who promised everyday Australians a magic carpet ride to riches.
I haven't got anything to say. There's no problem.
Dudley Quinlivan, Steve McArdle, Lino Tamaolo, and most notorious of all, Henry Kay.
Wealth creation spruiker is somebody who pretends that they're going to make you wealthy, provided you pay them a certain sum of money. What they generally do is take your money and make you poorer.
Real estate monitor and consumer advocate Neil Genman has spent more than a decade investigating and exposing these so-called investment gurus who charge audience members anything from $3,000 to $20,000 for seminars and courses.
They make promises which are just outrageous.
I went to one of his seminars and signed up.
Close to retirement in 2010, Kerry Woods jumped at the chance to double his money in just a year. A foolproof offer guaranteed by a company called 21st Century Education.
It cost me $7,995 for the membership, and for that they guaranteed that they would double my money up to $20,000.
Its so-called proven system works by trading currencies on the foreign exchange market.
So I put $20,000 in, and then in my 12 months I was down to $9,600.
I don't know the details of that guarantee. I mean, I don't trade Forex, I don't teach Forex. So they'd have to look at the particular program they might have done, who delivered that program. But if there's a written guarantee, they would have that in writing.
Jamie McIntyre is CEO of 21st Century Education. He describes himself as a financial educator, mentor, motivator, and he's well known as a spruiker.
We have 550,000 clients in 21st Century Education over the last 15 years. If there was 90% of them were happy, that means there'd be 10% or 55,000 disenfranchised clients out there. And if that was only 10%, that would be a remarkable success rate. But there's not. I'd say there's 0.01%.
To be fair to Jamie, we tried to speak on camera to 6 of his happy customers, but all were unavailable.
All of us are worried about our financial futures. But consequently, all of us are prime bait for these wealth creation spruikers.
Neil Genman currently suing Jamie McIntyre for defamation.
This is a man, by the way, who spends hundreds of thousands of dollars to get himself in a situation whereby he can have his photograph taken with the likes of Richard Branson, or he's a mate of Arnie Schwarzenegger.
He said, if you don't become a millionaire within 5 years, we'll refund all your money on the home study program.
Darren James was won over by Jamie McIntyre at a 2010 seminar.
The auto trader would operate on its own and you'll pay up to $5,000, I think, at the time. And this would make you money in the background while you slept.
Sounds too good to be true, and it was for Darren. He lost $5,000 and after 3 months cancelled his credit card to stop the company debiting a further $495 a month.
And that's when the action started, and the litigious messages came through and threatening to sue me and sending me decline notices day after day, sometimes twice a day.
Investors need to make sure that they're seeking independent advice, preferably in writing, regarding any investment opportunity.
Litigation specialist Tim Finney.
At Sato & Gordon, we receive a lot of inquiries from people who have lost money in investments on the stock market, and they often say what the advisor told me or what this person told me sounded too good to be true, and it turned out that was exactly the case.
It was for the creditors of property spruiker Henry Kay, whose National Investment Institute famously collapsed in 2003, owing $60 million to creditors, including scores of mum and dad investors.
Our lecturers that would teach people how to trade, say the share market or Forex, they're licensed to give financial advice. As I said, I don't teach those particular things.
But Jamie McIntyre is a man of huge ambition. He's formed his own political party, running for the seat of New England as an independent.
Our goal is to run 75 lower house seats around Australia, out of the 150 that's possible.
I was probably a fool for believing what he was offering.
Kerry was offered a refund by 21st Century Education, but refused it, as he says the deal included a gag clause.
He comes across as a nice guy, wants to help everybody, but he's only helping himself deal money.
Jackie Quist reporting there.
Well, there you go. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I heard him say on there that he was going to have 75 candidates for his political party, and he was going to stand them across the 150 seats in the federal election. Yeah, and he also said that if he had any disgruntled ex-customers, you'd hear about them. But, you know, he reckons there's 0.01%, not 10% disgruntled. Yet, one of the disgruntled people who talked on the TV show, he said that he was offered a refund, but the refund came with a gag clause, which means that all of the people that he has refunded money to are not allowed to say so. It's an interesting way to manipulate the appearance of the situation. But anyway, let's just check again on the newspaper story. April 4. His party's going to stand candidates in all 150 seats. April 23. All 150 seats. Okay. Mr. McIntyre being an educator. Well, on the TV he said that he's not actually an educator. He organises the seminars and the courses, and he employs other people who have licences to come and teach the courses. It's a bit different from being an educator, organising the venue. He's sort of an event promoter by the look of that. April 25th, he launched his political party to a crowd of 50 people, which is, it's not a lot. Not a lot of people for his party. No matter how happy he might be that Tony Windsor had pulled out due to ill health, 50 people showing up to the alleged launch of his party doesn't sound like much when you consider that Jamie's been claiming that he has a Twitter following of 1 million people, and he also says that he's got a database of 550,000. Now those 550,000 people, they comprise anybody who's ever bought one of his books or one of his university courses or attended any of his seminars. The 550,000 is anybody who's ever done any business with him at all whatsoever. But according to Mark Hawthorne from the National Business Editor of Fairfax Metro Media, there were 22,400 genuine followers of Jamie's Twitter account, and the rest of the million were bullshit. So he had a 97.6% bullshit content in his claims about his Twitter account. In his little spruiking piece on the call to end the supermarket duopoly, he reckons that the duopoly of Coles and Woolworths would never be tolerated in the excited states of Norte Armed Americano, and that means that Jamie McIntyre's never heard of Walmart. And then, though Jamie said to Fairfax that he had no idea how to organise an internet following, when the local newspaper ran a web poll, Jamie's somehow come up with more voters in Glen Innes than Barnaby Joyce of the National Party. And let's say that he's got an electoral office in Glen Innes and one in Inverell and one in Armidale and one in Tamworth and one in Tenterfield and maybe one in Guyra. Each one of those offices, when they are got somebody in them, manned or womaned, the person in there sits there silently hunched over a laptop, computing furiously. I wonder what that might have to do with these results. I wonder. Then, on August the 6th, after all that noise and spectacular activity talking about his party was going to field 150 candidates because 75, which was his first claim, wasn't big enough, now it says, with less than 5 weeks to go until the final poll, Jamie McIntyre's 21st Century Australia Party has insufficient time to complete the Electoral Commission registration. So all of the foregoing was based on the idea that he was just going to get his paperwork to sail through and nobody was ever going to check anything. And he got himself furiously cranky when he heard that he wasn't registered as a party, and he wants to immediately not sue the investors. This time he wants to sue the Australian Electoral Commission, and he wants to sue the Prime Minister of Australia for what he says is some kind of prejudice and bias and corruption and incompetence. Well, incompetence might be a fair term for it, but I don't think it's the Australian Electoral Commission that's incompetent. They haven't changed their requirements since 1918. If you want to register as a political party, you will either have to have one sitting member in either local, state or federal government. So if you can get elected to the town council, you can start a political party with yourself and 2 other signatures. If you're not a sitting member, if you have not been elected by the people, then you need to submit a list of at least 550 people who have joined your party, and 500 of them have to be genuine. If you can get 90% accuracy, Jamie, with your list of alleged members to the AEC, then you can get registered as a party. And Jamie McIntyre failed not once, but twice. Mr McIntyre maintains that his party's member roll runs into the area of 1,000 members. However, when cross-referenced by the AEC, produced only 419 members from the original list of 550, and on a second attempt produced 483. So, no, he can't score 90% reality rating on his membership roll, and therefore he didn't get it done in time. Now, he says in this interview here that he reckons, in today's modern computerised age, a private enterprise employee given 3 hours could check a list of 550 names and addresses against the electoral roll to find 500 of them that are real. But guess what, Jamie? That's exactly what you did. A 3-hour check done by a painted secretary that took her 20 seconds per name to cross-reference it and see if it was real. And you know what? They weren't careful enough checks. And you blew it, Jamie. Everything else you've said has just been sour grapes. Make yourself look like a dickhead. A petulant bullshit artist. And the amazing thing is that you would have the rhinoceros hide, the gall, to think that you could bullshit your way into Parliament after you've already been featured on a Today Tonight investment scam television program. Unbelievable. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Fed up? Vote Green!